this is one of my favorite lessons. Readers listen for areas in a story where the author used his or her inner voice so that they can make inferences about the author's thoughts and feelings. What does inferences mean? You maybe heard of inferring, to infer. What does inferencing or inferences mean? Paige?
Inference is an educated guess using what you know.
Yep, an educated guess using what you know and also what the author tells you in the story, right? So you're taking a combination of what you know and what the author tells you to make a guess. Kind of like in science, it's like a hypothesis, right? That's what we would say in science. So we're going to listen for inner voice. What do I mean by inner voice, do you think? Inner voice. Nick?
What the author's trying to tell you?
Yeah, their feelings, their voice, what is really happening to them. Because, you know, a situation can happen to 5 people, and all 5 different people can have a different opinion about that same situation, right? Like when the Packers play the Bears or something, when the Packers win, Packer fans are happy. Are Bears fans happy? So their inner voice might sound a little different if they were talking about the game versus a Packer fan. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. So we're going to look at a couple of examples of how authors do this. I know this looks like a lot, but do you remember the memoir I read to you called My Father Never Drove a Car? And he lived to what, 101, and he never drove a car? Well, he did when he was younger, but he hit a horse, so he gave up. Remember that? And so who wrote this? You remember? You don't have to know his name, but whose perspective was this? The son, right? So the son told this, and there's a part in here at the end where he really shows his voice, the son does. And this is what he said. This is a quote from the book, that's why I have it in quotation marks. It says, "I miss him a lot, and I think about him a lot. I've wondered now and then how it was that my family and I were so lucky that he lived so long. I can't figure out if it was because he walked through life or because he quit taking left turns." Do you remember that? Yeah. You can do a left turn and 3 rights, right? And if you miss your right turn, you just do 7. And if you miss that, nothing's worth doing that many right turns. You should just go home. Yeah. Remember? So he really showed his voice here. And this is what I inferred. These are the inferences I made based on what he said. And based on what I know, too, about family and dads. I said the author was extremely close to his father and really enjoyed being around him. That's my opinion, what I think. And not driving a car and exercising will lead to a long life. What do you think? Does that make sense with what we know here and what we know about dads and things like that? And exercising? Okay. So here's another one. This is from the story 11 that we read yesterday, I think, about the girl who turned 11 and remember her teacher and put that red sweater on her desk and it wasn't hers, and how she felt. Wasn't there a lot of voice in that story about how she felt about that red sweater? Remember, she pushed it all the way up to the corner of her desk. She did not want anything to do with it. Here's just one part. There was a lot of voice in this memoir. And when you wake up on your 11th birthday, you expect to feel 11, but you don't. You open your eyes and everything's just like yesterday, only it's today. So this author is writing about turning 11 and on that day, her experiences. And she's showing her inner voice and her thoughts about being 11. A lot of us are 11 in here. I'm not 11, but a lot of you are. And you maybe have thought a little bit different about turning 11 than she did. But how does this inner voice, how does this help us make an inference? What kind of inference can we make about her? I'm going to read it again. I want you to think about inference. And when you wake up on your 11th birthday, you expect to feel 11, but you don't. You open your eyes and everything's just like yesterday, only it's today. So what do you think we could infer about her and her voice there? See, a couple people, it's kind of have to think about it. Kyle, what were you thinking?
I was thinking, I never really thought about it that way, and that's really unique how she thought about that you keep those years with you. I never thought about keeping those years with me, and I just want to keep it with me.
It's a unique thought to keep those years with you. I like how you said that. How do you think she feels about turning 11? It's a unique thought to keep those years with you. Based on her inner voice here, how do you think she feels about turning 11? If I ask it that way. And when you wake up on your 11th birthday, you expect to feel 11, but you don't. You open your eyes and everything's just like yesterday, only it's today. How does her voice tell us? What can we infer about how she feels about turning 11? Colin?
It's like any other day.
Yeah, turning 11 is like any other day for her, isn't it?
She doesn't feel
It doesn't feel like 11. You could definitely infer that about her personality. I want to read a couple more spots of voice. Today I wish I was 102 instead of 11, because if I was 102, I'd have known what to say when Mrs. Price put the red sweater on my desk. What can you infer based on her voice there about her day? Sierra? Lauren?
It wasn't very good. She was off to a bad start.
We can definitely infer that it was not a good start to her birthday based on what her voice is saying in here, right? She didn't say, my 11th birthday was, I had a bad start. Did she just say that? No, she told us in a creative way by using her voice to tell us. So as readers, we want to watch for that when the authors use their voice like that. We're going to do one more, and I'm going to have you guys turn and talk about what you infer after we look at it. We just finished, Mrs. Zahn just finished Crow Call, and there's lots of voice in here. Who's the narrator, or what perspective is it from? Gabby? The daughter, right? So if the dad were to tell this story, this personal narrative, maybe it would be a little different, wouldn't it? Be a little different voice. But it's from the daughter's point of view. So here's one thing she says. I sit shyly in the front seat of the car next to the stranger who is my father. My legs pulled up under the too large wool shirt I am wearing. What can you infer about her and her father by listening to this inner voice? Go ahead and talk to somebody next to you about what you could infer.
This time, she's going to the Granny game, and she's bringing meat, and we get to sit in it. Oh my god. She calls that. And you gotta go for free because her work for it.
Okay, say thank you to your neighbor.
And she's gonna have one.
What can we infer? I think we can infer a lot here. What did your neighbor say? Let's see. Sam, what did the person you're talking to say?
that it's kind of weird seeing your dad after all the years when you're trying to like remember what it looked like, what he
So she was struggling with remembering because he was gone. Was he in the war, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But think about this right here. What does this tell you? What does her voice here tell you? What can we infer? What else did you say, Katie?
He is kind of like a stranger because he's been gone so long, she barely remembers who he is and has no idea.
She is not close to her father, right?
Yeah.
And we can add because. Katie, why? Because
He was gone so long, she barely.
he was gone at war for a long time, right?
She probably couldn't remember his face or anything like that. She probably didn't recognize him
Right.
the first time he came back.
I mean, definitely in her voice where she says here, I shyly, when you're shy, you're usually shy around people you don't know. You're not shy around your best friend, are you? And I'm sure none of you are really shy around your dad. Maybe if you are, maybe you're not too close. I'm not sure. I sit shyly in the front seat of the car next to the stranger who is my father. I mean, that's strong language, isn't it? To use stranger to talk about your dad. She's really showing her voice there and how she really doesn't know her dad right now. And of course, we know at the end of the story they got a little closer, didn't they? So that was kind of a nice moment. Gabby?
For my father never drove a car in Crocall. The Inferences, one's extremely close and one's not close at all.
Yeah, look at the I'm glad that you pointed that out, Gabby. I was wondering if someone would do that. Because in Crocall, the narrator is the daughter, and she's talking about her dad and their relationship. And in My Father Never Drove a Car, the narrator is the son, and he's talking about his father and their relationship. But look at the difference in the inferencing. The author was extremely close to his father. She is not close to her father. So their voice was very different, wasn't it? I sit shyly in the front seat next to the car to the stranger who is my father. I miss him a lot and I think about him a lot. Big difference in voice, right? If we switched these two around, it wouldn't really sound right for the story, because their voices are so distinct. Does that make sense what Gabby explained? It's pretty cool to see somebody's voice in reading. So today while you're reading, I want you to think about the narrator of the book you're reading and think about their voice. Where are some parts that they show strong voice? And see if you can make an inference based on their voice. So let's do this in our reader's notebooks today. Let's put in our responding to reading section our dates and
Reading about reading?
yes, writing about reading. Let's put our date and let's make a chart like this. You might want to put the character, inner voice, and inferences. Hold on, don't get up yet. Whoa. Calm down. I know you're super excited.